Daddy, what are you eating?
Horseradish.
Raw horseradish? Are you crazy? Ugh. How can you eat that? It's so bitter.
It's delicious. And it's good for you.
The only time I'll eat horseradish is during Passover, once a year. Now, apples dipped in honey, that has a place all year round.
Hanan, God doesn't command you to eat apples and honey. If anything, you could say that in Bereshit, He told us not to eat the apple. What He does command us to eat is the bitter herbs. It's in the Bible.
I know. During Passover, we remember the bitterness of being slaves in Egypt over 3,000 years ago.
We eat the bitterness. It's important to eat the bitterness. The bitter herbs is the most important part.
Wouldn't the part about being freed be the most important part?
No, the bitter herbs is the most important part. You can't have the freedom without the bitter herbs. Remember, we eat the bitter herbs twice before we get to the meal.
Yeah, but that's just for Passover.
It's for everything. Hanan, listen to me. You can't have the Garden of Eden without the snake.
That's something I never understood. Why did God even put the snake in the Garden of Eden?
Because it gave Adam and Eve a choice.
But why would He even want them to have that choice?
Hanan, without a choice, none of our decisions mean anything. God gave us free will. Having a choice is the most important part.
I thought you said bitter herbs is the most important part.
It's the same thing.
What?
God is always giving us choices.
What choice?
Whether or not to eat the bitter herbs.
I don't know. I hate anything bitter. Especially bitter people. They bring themselves down as well as everyone around them.
Hanan, you're talking about bitterness and bitter people as if they were the same thing. There's a big difference between bitterness and bitter people. Bitterness is a part of life. We can accept it and embrace it as a part of life, or we can try and avoid it. But it's always there. It always was there, and it will always be there.
So what's this big difference? Bitter people are just people who are filled with bitterness.
No. Bitter people have been consumed by bitterness. Remember, God commands us to eat the bitter herbs, not the other way around.
So why would you willingly choose to eat bitter herbs outside of the Passover seder? Are you trying to punish yourself?
Hanan, bitter herbs are not a punishment. They're nutritious. They're good for you.
But even in Passover, we eat the bitter herbs together with matzah or dipped in charoset. Don't you think that eating bitter herbs just raw like that might make you a little bit bitter?
All great things come with a risk. Remember, there can't be a Garden of Eden without a snake. But God always gives us a choice. If you choose to eat the bitterness and really taste it so that the taste fills your mouth, you eventually come to the most important choice.
Which is
whether or not to believe.
believe?
Hanan, when life serves you nothing but bitter herbs, and you choose to believe anyway, even though all you can taste is bitterness, even when everything in life is telling you not to believe, and you still believe anyway, there's a name for that in Hebrew. Emunah.
What does emunah mean?
It means faith.
Is that why God commands us to eat the bitter herbs?
I don't know. Ask God.
Give me some of that horseradish.
Ugh. It's delicious and it's good for you.